Welcome to Nasdaq TradeTalks. I'm Jill Malandrino, global markets reporter at Nasdaq. What demographics are most affected by lack of financial literacy, and what is the path forward to close the gap? Joining us to discuss for Financial Literacy Month, we have Adam Taggart, founder and CEO of Wealthion. Adam, it's great to have you with us. Welcome to Trade Talks.
It's wonderful to be here, Jill. Thanks so much for having me on.
You got it. Why do so many adults lack basic financial literacy?
Oh, well, that's relatively easy. Our education system does a terrible job of teaching it. In fact, in most cases, it just doesn't.
What demographics are most affected by lack of financial literacy, and what is the path forward to closing that gap?
All right. Trying not to say all. Obviously, younger demographics and minorities tend to suffer more from, they get the least of the poor scraps that are already being given out there in terms of actual teachings of financial literacy. But just to go back to my former point for a second, because I think it's an important one to underscore, we go to school, we invest in our education primarily because we think that we'll have a more prosperous future if we do. And most people define that prosperity by having an economic advantage in life. And it's ridiculous that that's really the one thing that in most cases, school does not teach. Most people do not get any classes in any type of financial literacy. They're not taught how to balance a checkbook, how to create a household budget, how to deal with a mortgage, how to deal with credit card debt. All the things that we think our education is going to help us handle better in life, we're actually not taught it. So we're just sort of sent out into the world naked, and it's just expected that somehow we're going to figure it all out along the way.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is a conundrum, right? You have so much emphasis on STEM, but not being able to do a basic budget is kind of what you need to make it through life. And to your point, financial literacy initiatives have made small steps and progress in our school systems, but only 18 states actually require students to take financial courses in order to graduate. So why do you think this isn't a main priority for schools and universities?
Yeah, it's a great example. I think it's mostly just a case of, imbalanced priorities, where, just like students will oftentimes teach to the test, schools are basically trying to, teach to the scores that they get rewarded based on. And right now the incentives are for certain types of math scores or certain types of literacy scores or whatnot, English literacy, not financial literacy. And we're just not making it a priority here. And to a certain extent, I think we are sabotaging our own success here. We're just creating false targets to go after rather than the ones that really matter.
You recently conducted your own survey to gauge how people feel about their financial situation. What would you say is the biggest takeaway and why?
Okay, well, what's so interesting about my survey is I would say my audience is a more financially literate audience on average. These are people who are going on to FinTwit, going on to YouTube, and trying to self-educate because they have a passion or a real interest in this topic. And even amongst that population, 44% said that they had no financial literacy education, in their schooling, and feel, an insecurity about their current level of understanding. And I would say these are some of the most literate people financially, at least on the internet. So if we've got that level of anxiety amongst my audience, you can only imagine what it's like for the general public there. Another interesting stat is, I think 47% of the survey respondents said that they have no debt, which is interesting because that definitely is a much more favorable stat than what you see in the average population. But it still means that over 50% of people have debt and are uncomfortable with it. And again, if you apply that to the if these are sort of the A students in the class who are struggling like this, it's really reflective of the challenges that regular people are dealing with.
But see, Adam, that's kind of where the concern is. You had mentioned before that schools are teaching to reach certain mandates and how they get rewarded for scores and so forth, right? Is it concerning to you that people are going to social media to get financial advice, because we have finfluencers that are out there now, right? And they are designed, it is a business in and of itself. They are designed to do what's attractive for their millions of followers based on how they're getting paid, right? It's not necessarily the best information, but they're just marketing it better. Are you concerned that that's how people are accumulating financial literacy information?
I am, and that's a great question for a guy like me, because that's really the driving reason why I created Wealthion in the first place, was to give people what I consider to be really truly financially nutritious content out there, right? There's a lot of people that are putting themselves out there as a financial influencer, and there's no credential process for that, right? I mean, anybody can do it. Anybody can create a YouTube channel tomorrow and start doing this. So there's there's a huge range of quality, and a good deal of it is pretty bad. Certainly when you go on more of the short form content channels like the TikToks and Instagram Reels of the world, where, I mean, how much insight can you really get in a 30 or 45-second video in terms of, helping you make a smarter financial decision in your life? It's one of the big reasons why not only do we try to educate people through what we're doing at Wealthion, and we do that not by me telling you what to do, but I bring in experts, I bring in top economists, top Wall Street analysts, top research analysts, and you're able to look through their eyes and really crawl in their brains and hear what they have to say. So I'm trying to narrow some of the information asymmetry and give the little guy the same type of information that the Wall Street investors are getting. But most importantly, I try to connect people with financial resources that can help them take action in their lives or get further education. And so a lot of times what I'm ending up doing is just recommending that people work with a really good financial advisor who can spend the real time they're going to need to get to understand them personally and create a personalized plan for themselves. And way too many people try to wing it, go online, they read a book or two, or they go online, they listen to a couple influencers, and then they try to apply that themselves. If they don't have the experience for that, oftentimes that can be a recipe for disaster.
All right. And finally, to wrap up here, anything else people should evaluate as they consider their personal financial situations?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think the most important thing is it's just like getting in shape physically. It's the actual mechanics to do it are not that complicated. You want to earn more, so you want to focus in on your earning capability, building your income streams. You want to save more, and then you want to invest as much as you can and let time work in your favor. It's just pretty much like, you want to eat less and move more to get physically fit, but it's the commitment and the discipline is really what differentiates most people from success or not achieving their goals. And so you just have to make it a priority in your life. And again, if you can get a good coach, just like getting into shape, that's a good success factor. If you get a good financial coach or good financial advisor, it can make all the difference in the world.
All right, Adam, we appreciate the insight. Thanks for joining us on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.
Been a pleasure, Jill.